Public rail. It gets you from point A to point B. It's snappy, it's sexy, we all want it. Every town wishes it had a metro system like New York, high-speed rail like the rest of the world, or something other than that stupid car thing. The 5 million people of the Front Range region really want it too, and they can have it for the low price of something in the 11-digit range. It's called the Front Range Passenger Rail. Oh, you've never heard of it? Well, there's a great video right here. This video is for the initiated, those who want to know how it will come to be.
It seems there has never been an opportunity as good as the one right now. Let's talk about funding.
Let's talk about funding. There are new federal grants the Front Range Passenger Rail qualifies for and is trying to qualify for that will change the game for passenger rail in Colorado. These will help fund billions of dollars for the project, making this big dream possible. Along with the opportunity of federal funding is the use of state funding. The plan is that in 2026, citizens who live in any of the 13 counties along the Front Range Passenger Rail District will have the option to vote for a sales tax to help fund this project.
What's being proposed is a 0.2% sales tax increase in 18 counties along the I-25 corridor that would experience this 0.2% sales tax increase to help fund the passenger rail district. And in those counties, there has been strong support for the sales tax measure.
The governor of Colorado, Governor Pollis, is optimistic that this ballot measure will pass too.
Do you think that's going to pass? Do you think the people of Colorado want a train?
I think absolutely people want Front Range Rail.
And Andy Karsian, District General Manager for the passenger rail, is as well.
They say I've never spoken to anybody who doesn't want this. Let's just get that out there.
If you remember in our first episode, we asked riders...
No. He's supposed to be in the third episode.
This guy.
Come on.
This guy.
If you remember in our first episode, we asked riders we met on the journey from Fort Collins to Boulder whether they planned on voting for the sales tax. We'll pick up our journey now, heading to Colorado Springs, traveling the proposed route of the passenger train using what's already publicly available, aka the buses.
Now, all this proposal and planning talk makes the train feel like an absolute, but do we really need this train? Again, it needs civic approval. Sure, it would be nice, it would be faster, but the bus stand which we are on now is already here. Our journey was started with the express intent of finding out if we even need this train. Regardless of how bad traffic is on I-25, the bus is the alternative. As we ride, we met all sorts who commute on transport, the Flatiron Flyer, and the bus stand every day. There's demand for the train and there is support, but is it enough to justify a whole new transit system? Now, we'll go into the caveats of this train in episode 3, however it is important to think about as you come to understand the future of the Front Range Passenger Rail.
We are one of the first entities through the door on this, and so it's hard because we are defining that process also as we go along. We are ahead of most of the other new corridors, which are around 60 nationwide, that are trying to take advantage of these federal dollars that came from a bill called Bipartisan Infrastructure Law. We are one of 2 projects that are at the head of the pack, us in Georgia, and we are ahead of planning. That's great. It's also a challenge when it comes to creating clarity and efficiencies in a planning process. Can never talk enough about timelines, because timelines in this world is a complex narrative. And we are stitching together many different entities, many different opportunities, many different timelines at a federal, state, and local.
Let's start off at the top, the federal level.
In order for this project to be approved for certain federal grant money, it needs to prove that it's done the correct research. It also needs to prove that the environmental impact isn't negative. And finally, it needs to prove that it makes sense for commuters, aka being competitive with the already existing highway system. All of these components make up the Service Development Plan.
We are about halfway through the planning process. We hope it should be done, we hope, by the end of 2025.
I want to mention that Karsian said the environmental clearance should come easily due to the fact that the train is planned to run, mostly, on tracks that already exist and that are used regularly.
According to the research the board has already done, all other clearances should come easily as well. The speed of the train will easily surpass the speeds of I-25, and it will even take cars off of the highway. All right, on to timelines at the state level. In order for the passenger rail train to run on the freight tracks that are already in use like they plan to, they need to make deals with two organizations, Burlington Northern Santa Fe, or BNSF, and Union Pacific.
It's never fast working with the railroads, and that's not a dig on the railroads. It's just railroads are extremely busy and they've got many other things on their plates besides an aspirational goal of putting passenger rails on their freight rail traffic.
Karsian tells us that BNSF, who owns the tracks north of Denver, will be easier to work with.
This is because they have a history of working with passenger rail programs through their business relationship with Amtrak.
They understand that letting passenger rails work with them is a way to earn them money. And right now they are looking for a new entry into a business relationship to fill up spots in their train schedules. South of Denver, with Union Pacific, it is a different story. Their rail system is already full of freight train schedules.
There's a lot more freight traffic with Union Pacific, so it's going to be more difficult to kind of weave in a passenger rail system on the schedules that we are asking for. Short answer on how to make that happen, money.
What also exists as part of the state timeline is the sales tax ballot measure. Governor Pollis is an important helping hand into making sure that Coloradoans are for that tax ballot measure.
Political timelines can sometimes get ahead of planning timelines. And so there's a constant challenge as well when we are working with a very strong governor who's a strong political sponsor that puts wind in the sails of this project to get it over the timeline, which is an essential component of success. But we don't want to get blown off course with those political winds so that we then need to kind of circle back, or we get off message or something along those lines that jeopardize the future of the planning efforts, which are also as important.
Now at the local level, what needs to be done are the conversations and work on station development. Each community along the path of the proposed train has its own unique challenges of how the train will be interwoven into them.
Denver Union Station is one conversation that we're going to have. Pueblo Station is a beautiful historic train depot down there, but we're still going to need to do a little bit of work on that. Then in Fort Collins, where, a desire to have a station and service come to Fort Collins for all the relevant reasons, or Colorado Springs, there's no station yet. And so we're literally starting from step one, communicating kind of a site area, specific dot, and then how do we build upon that? What is the vision? What does it look like? Who's included? So there's the local timeline for this as well, to try and integrate that into planning timeline, federal timeline, and a ballot measure, so that there's a seamless delivery of rail service corridor wide. And when the train stops in your town, you don't have to jump off the train. You actually have a station on which to disembark.
That's gonna do it for part 2 of this 3-part documentary. This was the most information heavy, so we try to make it as entertaining as possible. And yeah, as for what's next with the train, seems pretty easy. What could go wrong?
There are things that can go wrong. They've gone wrong in the past. We'll address those in the 3rd episode. It's gonna look great. Like and subscribe, check that out when it comes out. Front page, baby.
Bye.